All right, and welcome back to the dumpster fire that is our podcast.
We're here to break the stigma against moms who smoke.
Hey, my name is Paige. I'm a 23-year-old single mom of 2 kids and a cat. I run a YouTube channel and I'm a self-taught videographer and editor. Still working on English though. I've been smoking medicinally since I was 19 to help manage symptoms of borderline personality disorder.
And I am Carolyn, and I'm a 36-year-old. I said 37 last time, and then I had to do some math. My husband was like, "What the hell? You're not 37." I was like, "Oh yeah." So I'm a 36-year-old entrepreneur with 2 boys, a husband, and a cat. And I've been smoking my adult life. I started smoking once I moved out into my own house, and I use it to manage my anxiety really right now.
So before we get started, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Moms Who Smoke Podcast. We're on Twitter at The Moms Who Smoke, and our Facebook is Moms Who Smoke.
And our podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music.
And after each episode, we release a survey on SurveyMonkey where you can anonymously leave your questions and comments that you have for us, and we will do our best to answer them on the next episode.
This week, we are joined by Sabrina from Cannabis Infused Motherhood, and we're going to be discussing the medicinal and spiritual benefits of cannabis.
And this is Sabrina.
Take it away.
All right. So I'm a mom of 2. Both my boys are actually diagnosed with severe autism. They're nonverbal, still in diapers, and they have a lot of unique challenges, and that makes life kind of stressful sometimes. So cannabis is really helpful to me to kind of keep my calm and not lose my mind, I guess. I also use it in a spiritual way just to kind of just for my personal growth and spiritual growth and well-being. So I use it like that quite often. I'm also trained in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And that is just kind of a healing modality that you can use to kind of break through limiting beliefs, change your mindset, things like that. And I'm also trained in Reiki healing. So I'm all about that energy healing and all that cool stuff too. And I love using cannabis alongside those things because I think it's a great tool to kind of enhance that kind of work.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to start out with the medical breakdown kind of cannabis, just because a lot of people aren't actually versed in, what is the chemical compounds and aspects of cannabis. So both humans and cannabis plants have a chemical compound in their systems called cannabinoids. Humans have endocannabinoids and plants have phytocannabinoids. Humans naturally produce them in their bodies in our ECS, which is our endocannabinoid system. The studies suggest that the ECS plays a role in regulating stress recovery, nervous system protection, immune system response, and homeostatic balance. So just basically our overall state of optimal health, function, and stability. We have 2 types of cannabinoid receptors in our bodies. We have CB1 and CB2. CB1 receptors are mainly found in the nervous system, and CB2 receptors are mainly found in the immune system. So that's kind of our cannabinoids in our bodies. And then the cannabis plant, the properties of a cannabis plant are CBD and THC. So it's cannabidiol and tetrahydrocannabinol. I think I'm saying that right. CBD and THC interact with our receptor sites in the same way that our own cannabinoids do. So in the areas of our body, like our nervous system, that help us regulate stress, and that the receptors from the plant, and when we smoke it, then interact with our receptors, and that's what helps a person calm down or helps a person in whatever way they're smoking for. Does that make sense? And this is why there's so many different strains of cannabis and different ways to use it, such as just smoking it as a flower, smoking it as an oil, taking it in a capsule, taking it as an edible, because the cannabinoids from the plant interact with each person very differently. Every human is completely different biologically. I mean, we're all kind of the same, but when it comes to regulating stress and everything, everybody's different. So that's why there are all these strains that people are specific on, and my favorite strain wouldn't be your favorite strain, because it helps my body in different ways than it would help yours, although it is the same strain. So that's kind of like the, I don't know, scientific side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. And I actually learned all of this stuff from you, Sabrina, when you first
Oh, yeah.
when you first came Paige, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy plant. It's so versatile too, and I don't know. I think everybody needs it in their life in some way, shape, or form.
I agree. I think that, like we were talking about last week, the stigma surrounding it is so unreal considering the medicinal benefits of it. And not just the medicinal benefits of it, but hemp as a plant in general is such a widely used product. And people don't realize that it's in almost everything you use every day. Well, not almost everything, but like a lot of your daily use items have hemp in it. And it's interesting.
And why we don't fight for that to be used as a like, instead of cutting millions of trees down, hemp is so much, you can grow hemp faster, and it's just as versatile as a tree, and we're not destroying the universe, or not the universe, but the to be a little dramatic.
And it's interesting if you look at the modern history of it as well, because up until pharmaceuticals and injections and that became popular, cannabis was a very used plant, a very highly used plant in, the majority of pharmaceuticals. And people just aren't willing to recognize that, or maybe they just are uneducated and don't know about that. But we shied away from using cannabis when we came into all these pharmaceuticals, and now we're seeing all these side effects from these pharmaceuticals, that maybe it's time to go back and look at what we were doing originally, because that might have been a better way in some ways. Obviously we need pharmaceuticals, but it's definitely, it's got more benefits than downsides, in my opinion.
Definitely. Another fun fact, it was actually a paper mill, I believe. I could be wrong on this, but I think it was a paper mill sorry, we're going to have to edit that.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought. I'm all high. I believe it was a paper mill. Harry Anslinger, I think he owned a paper mill, and he was the one who wanted to stop using hemp industrially because he wanted his business to thrive instead of using hemp because it wasn't as profitable to use for paper products and things like that. Yeah.
So
I feel like politics and money are a huge reason.
Oh, definitely.
100%.
And made to
even when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry, right? You can't really patent and own a plant, so they had to create the chemical versions and market it that way. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, the pharmaceuticals have their place.
Oh yeah.
But they don't trump everything. And there's so many, you should try a lot of different things before you go to a chemical medication, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yeah.
So after my car accident, I was in the hospital and my foot was badly broken. I actually had to have surgery and 2 pins put in. So after my surgery, and while I was in the hospital, I was only there for about 2 days. I was very heavily sedated on opioids for the pain and stuff like that. And my mental health was pure like garbage at that point in time. And I think the painkillers are what was really amplifying that for me, because I'm not used to taking anything that strong and things like that. So I was very terrified and depressed and just kind of not myself at all by any means. And when I got out of the hospital, I was still taking those painkillers because the pain was pretty significant, like smoking didn't even touch it. And for a while after that, my mental health was really suffering because, like I said, I think it was amplifying a lot of the things I was going through. So I slowly weaned off those painkillers. It was probably like 2 weeks after my surgery and stuff like that. I started to wean off the painkillers and just use cannabis. I make my own oils and edibles and things like that. And I found those to be much more helpful because when you ingest it, it's much more of a body experience, I find. So that was really helpful to get me to where I am now. Now I can smoke to kind of manage my pain and things like that. I also had stage 2 whiplash. So my entire neck and entire side of my body were in a lot of pain. It still bothers me to this day. My rib cage is always sore. So I'm sore 24/7, like still to this day. But cannabis is, haven't taken any painkillers since about 2 weeks after the accident happened. So cannabis has been really my like savior, I guess I could say, for the mental health, because I was just diagnosed with PTSD because of the car accident. I was really suffering and I kind of let all of my passions go for a little while. I just needed time to like go internal and rest and like not do anything because my mind was not um, able to like put that kind of energy out into any sort of tasks like that. So yeah, it was a really hard thing to go through. So I'm glad I'm finally slowly getting out of it and getting better.
Well, it's amazing that you were able to, recognize that you thought that was part of the problem was the painkillers, and that you were able to get yourself off of that and find a more natural way.
Yes, I felt so much better after I stopped taking them, like just my mental health. It was, yeah, it was scary. Like I was in a very dark place when I was taking those. I did not enjoy them at all. So yeah, I only took them when I absolutely had to and was just kind of supplementing with cannabis so I was able to stop taking them.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the car accident and like how it happened, or do you want to?
I can if you guys are curious and want to know.
I think that the audience will be, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So my mom was in the car, my 11-year-old sister was in the car, and a family friend. She was the one who was driving. And just a little disclaimer before I start, I don't blame the driver. I'm not upset at her or anything like that. It would just, accidents happen sometimes. So we were on our way to Sudbury for a crystal and gem show, actually. So I got my mom and sisters into all that woo-woo stuff, and we were going to go check out some crystals, and we are all excited to go. And we were coming into the city, and there was an intersection, and we were turning left to go to a Tim Hortons. And at that moment in time, we were all like, "Oh, what are you gonna get? Are you gonna get a sandwich? Or what kind of god are you gonna get?" We were just like chatting away, and the light turned green, but she still had to yield for the oncoming. She forgot to yield and just kind of went. Sorry, it's an emotional,
It's okay.
shaky. So yeah, she did the left turn. It was still on the highway, so the car that hit us was going probably like 90 kilometers an hour, like they were going fast. So yeah, I remember my mom like yelling like, "You can't go!" And then I looked. I was in the back seat on the left side, so I looked and I could see two vehicles like right in the windows, like they were there. And then the impact happened, and I thought we got hit by two cars, but it was only one. So yeah, we kind of like spun around and then flipped onto the roof. And I remember just kind of like after it happened, I was just kind of like, "You're okay, you're okay, you're okay, like you're okay." And then my sister was sitting beside me, and that's my sister okay. Is my sister okay? And I just kind of looked over, and she was lucid, she was fine. I could hear my mom talking, and my friend that was in the front driving, I could hear them kind of freaking out. So I kind of was panicking, and I undid my seatbelt, and I was kind of like on all fours on the roof of the car, and my phone was like right in my face. So the first thing I did was call 911 from the car because I didn't know what was going on. And then I realized I could hear people like freaking out outside the car trying to get us out. So I ended up just hanging up the phone, and then I got Carol Ann out. And by that time, I got her out of her seatbelt. I was kind of like banging on the doors, trying to like get out. And then someone called me from the hatch, and she told me to like crawl into the back seat and go. So I sent Carol Ann out first. And then I went out, and by that time, I haven't really like felt anything. Like I was in pure shock. So when I tried to stand up when I got out of the car, I realized there was something wrong with my foot. So I had two people like hobble me over to the side of the road, and I was freaking out because my mom was still in the car and stuff like that. So I almost passed out. Like it was quite scary. So anyways, we end up all outside of the car, and then the ambulances get there, and we just kind of got rushed to the hospital and kind of got assessed for injuries. And yeah, everyone was okay. Like my mom had two broken bones in her back. They're like on the side of the discs. I forget what they're called, just two little fragments. And she also had like bruising and stuff, but overall she was okay. My 11-year-old sister had not a scratch on that kid. I can't believe, like, I don't know how. She got to go home that night because
Then on the right hand side. So that was on
yeah, it was on the side of impact.
Oh my god.
And the driver had hit the wheel well on the front of the car. So that's what protected my mom. And yeah, Carolyn was fine. And I think my mom got the impact like from the other vehicle, and I got the impact from the roof hitting. Like, I think that's the side it hit where I was in the back left. So, and yeah, Carol Ann and the driver were totally fine. I think the driver had like a gash on her arm or something, but overall, like nothing major. So yeah, we are very lucky to have all walked out here.
That was like, what, a month after Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy, May, 2 months. So we were grieving and losing him, and then we got schmucked. Yeah, it was
year last year.
It's a rough one. Yeah.
Can I ask who Jimmy is?
He's my stepdad, but I consider him a dad. He's been around since I've been like 11 or 12-ish, and he was like really, really good to us. So yeah, it was really sad. I feel so awful for my mom. But she's doing okay considering.
Well, that's good. At least you guys have been able to.
Yeah.
If you need a bowl, it's okay.
A little side note: Sabrina is my cousin, so that's how, like, we're all family. So we've known each other. We go way back.
So yeah, cannabis has helped me cope with all that.
And do you think that led you to be more like into it, I guess, and dive deeper into it?
I actually had started diving really deep into it about a year before. My interest really grew because there was this company I wanted to join. I was like a network marketing person, one of those annoying people always like trying to sell
I was
something.
too.
Oh, nice. I did it works, and then
I did it
there
works
was
too.
It's like we all start there and end up somewhere else. I know a lot of people that were in there. That's fun. Sorry if you could hear my kids, they're loud upstairs. Where was my train of thought? Oh yeah, I started because I found a CBD company that was kind of like pushing the oils and stuff like that. And they were only in the United States. They weren't able to ship here yet, but I stuck with them for like a long time, like just counting down the days till I could sell it in Canada. And we were only able to for a short time before the company just kind of changed their mind and didn't really want affiliates and stuff like that anymore. So from there, I was like, okay, well, I just kind of followed my interests and created a YouTube channel. I'm just trying to brand myself and things like that. But yeah, last year, just my mental health and stuff, I couldn't continue for a long time. And about a week ago, I finally decided to like, let's go, let's do this again. So yeah, here I am.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a lot to keep up with too. Like I run a YouTube channel as well, and keeping content that I feel confident in posting and I don't know, keeping up the frequency of it is really difficult.
It's hard. It's a lot. And especially when you got the 2 kids and you're by yourself. And I mean, 2 kids with a partner is hard. So it's like double,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
When it's something that you enjoy, it makes a difference. Like with a podcast, I love editing the podcast. I'll sit down for 4 hours straight and do it because I enjoy it. And same with like a lot of the YouTube videos I make. And I think once you find the niche of what you're interested in, it doesn't so much feel like work as it does kind of like spreading a message. And
yeah, and for my YouTube channel, like there's a ton of tutorials on there for butter and oils, and that's not really like what I want to talk about, and I just ended up doing that because I'm making it anyway. I'm like, oh, there's some content, like I might as well record the process. And then, I really want to start talking about more of the spiritual aspect and doing kind of like guided meditations and things like that for people to use alongside cannabis. So that's kind of where I'm headed now.
I'm so into that. Let me know when you post a meditation.
I posted one a couple days ago. It's like
I saw that one.
Yes.
I definitely listened to that one.
Nice. I got another one coming out next week. I recorded the audio, but I don't know. I haven't recorded like a video of myself. I'm just trying to do audios, and I might go what do you call that, podcast. I might go the podcast route and just kind of like post on Spotify and stuff like that too, because I don't know, I think that's a really good idea because I can listen on different platforms. I like that. I like what you guys got going on. I might steal a little idea.
We both watch a lot of YouTube, and I find especially since the quarantine started, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts, or I'm watching a lot of videos that I don't have to watch. I just have to listen to.
Yeah, because you could do you're doing the dishes.
Exactly. So I think it's a solid route for everybody right now. Like, not everybody steal our vibe, but jump on the bandwagon if you have to.
Now,
Sabrina, how do you use it spiritually? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So for me personally, I like to smoke before I meditate, or I really like listening to ASMR videos. I don't know if you guys know what that is or anything. It's just kind of you do it's kind of relaxing whispers and stuff
I
like
thought
that. And I really
what I thought. I was like, ooh, ASMR.
Mhm.
I really like Luna Nate. She does like Reiki energy healing work. So I love smoking before I listen to one of those things. And I also do it just to meditate, like with myself, with no like help and stuff like that. And I incorporate crystals. I kind of try to set an intention all the time. So let's say I want to do even like a self Reiki session on myself, I will kind of smoke, set my intention for both my smoke session and the Reiki session. And then once I am at a nice elevated state of mind, I will lay down, close my eyes, do my little ritual, and it just kind of brings me like into a much deeper relaxed state, and just brings different things to my awareness that need to be like acknowledged or healed. Because of my last year was so hard, I had a lot of emotional things I had to kind of like work through and process and things like that. So I find cannabis very helpful to bring you to just a more open, receiving state, and you can kind of observe your thoughts better when you're kind of like on that upper level. Rather, when you're sober, you're just kind of, you're kind of stuck in it. With cannabis, it helps you like see it from a different perspective. So yeah,
I,
that's what I use that for.
I completely agree with that. Like, I think that people think that people use weed to get like stoned and to hallucinate, and it's not that kind of drug, but it calms your mind enough that I feel, or at least for me, like it calms me enough that I'm open to almost anything. And I don't mean like in a bad way. I just like thought process wise, like if I have a negative thought, I'm more willing to explore that thought and then let it go than I am when I'm in a tense state, or I don't know, my regular state. I'm not calm enough to do that without
Same here,
someone
because you're
else.
kind of reactive. You're more like I said, kind of like stuck in that emotion or stuck in that mindset or whatever it is. But when you smoke cannabis, it kind of like brings you out of it, and you can look at it like from the outside and just kind of be like, okay, this is what I did wrong, or this is what I could have done better, or this is how I want to feel instead of how I was feeling, kind of thing. So yeah.
And I find that I'm able to process, like if I get angry or something, I process it. I don't process it as anger. Like I process it in a calm state versus
Mhm.
like, I don't know, just being wrapped up in that emotion and what it is. Like you can kind of analyze what's built you up to that point.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I find sometimes I'll let my thoughts kind of snowball, and you end up at like the worst case scenario, and then you're thinking the worst for everything, and then I smoke, and I'm able to kind of just like unpack everything, process, and then reassess and come at it from a calm state as opposed to all worked up.
Yeah, you're better able to choose how you would rather react or how you would rather feel. It's interesting. And I think a lot of people, one thing I wanted to touch on is I think a lot of people use it as more of an escape than what we're doing. I think people use it to kind of bypass their emotions, to kind of,
Put them
just
in a
go
numb
into it
state.
consciously. Yeah. So when you go into it with a more conscious awareness of it, and when you go in with an intention, I feel like it'll just amplify the better feelings, because cannabis is an amplifier, so it can amplify those negative emotions too.
Mhm.
And I see it mostly in men for some reason. It's more like a bypass.
I
They use
have
it to escape reality rather than to analyze and assess it.
And grow.
I ha- there's and maybe this isn't the right thing to bring up on this podcast or on this episode, um, but there's a lot of people that are like that, and that's, I think, how it gets its bad stigma as part of it is because those are the people that are going to go and smoke 4 bowls back to back and literally be a potato on the couch, and then people think that that's the how it is when you get stoned, and it's not. But there's also like people think that weed doesn't open your mind; they have to do acid to do that. Which, like, I do understand to a point. I understand how hallucinogens can, are spiritual and can open your mind, and like I'm all for that. But it's not that kind of it's not the same thing,
No, it's not.
and it shouldn't be
Also,
compared.
I'll just show you guys something. It can be very psychedelic when you're using it kind of more consciously, doing breathing exercises, different healing exercises. I highly recommend this book to anybody who is interested in that kind of stuff.
So
it's
psychedelic
not-
cannabis breaking the gate.
Yes. Psychedelic Cannabis Breaking the Gate, and it's by Daniel McQueen. It's very good. It goes into a lot of detail about creating specific cannabis blends. So mixing a really like high energy, even kind of anxiety producing almost sativa, and blending that with a very heavy indica, and blending those with some even hybrids in the middle, and smoking that all at once. So you kind of get the best of every single strain that you throw in there, and it cancels out all the negative effects of like being too sedative or being too anxiety inducing. So
Is that a study? Because I have done that for a long time, and I just thought that I was just
I
like,
don't know if it's a study per se, but he talks about him experimenting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard anybody else do that, and I do that pretty frequently when I'm like, I don't want to be really, really tired, but I don't want to be really, really anxious.
Yeah, that's a great thing to be doing. That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, it just kind of brings you to like a really like a good alchemy of all the different benefits, like all mixed into one. It's a great thing. Yeah.
And I saw, I don't know if you were just posting on your story, but you had rose quartz with your plants, and you were infusing them with like, I died. That was.
I do that all the time. I still have a jar up there surrounded by crystals. But yeah, I got this next to my jar of weed.
That's great.
Yes, because you can program your weed with intention too. Like even if it's just sitting in a jar, or if you're growing it, especially send that plant love. Surround it with, even if you're not into the whole crystal thing, just put anything that you, I don't know, just sending it that vibration, that love, the vibration. It helps them grow better. Any plant really, and when you harvest it and you smoke it, it's infused with that already. Those intentions that.
Love them.
Yeah, that's so much.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here like a kid in a candy store with all this information.
Yeah. It's really cool, and like I feel like I'm just scratching the surface so far. Like I feel like there's so much more to learn as I go. So yeah, I'm trying to absorb all that crazy woo-woo information with cannabis and crystals.
I understand I need to take some time, and I'm glad you did. And you healed, and I'm really excited that you're going to be back in action.
Yes, I'm excited too. I missed it so much, and I get so sad because like I don't have energy to post anything. Like,
And you have quite the following on YouTube.
I can't believe that happened. I don't know. I like didn't post forever, and then I looked and I'm like, holy crap! And then I got an email saying that I could like apply to be like a YouTube partner. I'm like, what is going on?
Do it. That's so amazing.
I applied. I don't know if the cannabis channel can be monetized, but I'm like, oh. I'm still waiting for the email.
Blaze the trail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Jeffree Star and Chris Clemens do weed videos that are monetized, so
Okay.
I mean, they're some of YouTube's biggest creators, but
YouTube has the issue if you're smoking on.
Okay, I do that sometimes, but not. I mostly just like kind of educate, talk about it. A lot of my videos that are really popular are the tutorial ones, and I feel like my subscriber list is kind of not my niche just yet, but I'm gonna try and like
tweak
switch
it.
over. Yeah, we're tweaking.
and you might open more people up to that side of it too. Like the subscribers that aren't your niche might become your niche.
That's true. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Now want to do what's our weekly update?
Oh yeah, do we want to do a check-in? You can go ahead with your check-in if you want.
Okay.
How are you this week?
This week I'm better. I've been trying to just be more patient, I guess you could say. Like, I mean, you gotta go with the flow, right? Like I can't just fret about it all the time. So this week I cut Daxton's hair because his hair is getting to be a little long. So I cut his hair, and I feel like it picked him up. You know, when you do like a little something nice for yourself, and it just like, I feel like it picked his spirits up a little bit to like have a new do. And then yesterday, I don't know if you saw my picture on Facebook, but I made myself a spa. I got some Tupperwares out of the drawer, and I filled them with.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
essential oils because I didn't have any Epsom salt. So I was like, I'm just gonna go with what I got in the cupboard. And then I didn't take a picture of it, but I should have. I had like a hand mask where it's like it was like a one-time use plastic gloves that you put on. There's like a cream inside. You put them on for 10 minutes, and when you take them off, your hands are like super soft. Well, I was doing my feet, so I like jammed half my foot into into each glove. I could, and then the heel I had to do separately. It was a big fuck around, but I did it, and it was it worked, and my feet feel like $1,000,000 now, and I just like I needed
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah, I felt like it was a little cheap, quick pick me up, and it worked. So
That's so good. I'm glad your week was better because last week was a little rough.
yeah, it was rough last week. This week seems to be a little better.
Yeah.
How about you?
When did we record? We recorded Wednesday. I don't know. It's been kind of like last week was really bad. And then up until I think I kind of got it in my head on Monday that I can't be a whiny bitch all the time. And I do need to do something about things in my life that I'm not happy with. And like a lot of that is my routine and my eating habits. And so I've eaten at least one meal a day, if not two, which is huge compared to not eating all day. And then my mood's been a lot better because of that. And I'm starting to recognize that I think my mood being off a lot of the time is because I'm not eating. So I'm getting a grasp on that, which I feel really good about. And I'm doing the same. Like I'm trying to be more patient and just kind of go with the flow, but also have more of a schedule. And I'm like writing down things on my calendar this week again. So when I look back at the week, I don't feel like I've done nothing and I can see that I've actually accomplished things. But no, it started out a really bad week, but I think I've leveled out now. And yeah, we're getting there. I'm not letting myself have bad days anymore. So there's that. Some days I'm just ultra stoned, honestly. But it's better than having a bad day. So
Sabrina, how's your week been?
My week's been pretty good. Yesterday we went and got a swing set for the boys. They both have birthdays coming up, so we kind of went and got them a swing set. So Drew was building that this morning, so I'm excited for them to go play on it. But other than that, our routine's kind of like all over the place because my oldest isn't at school right now. So he's very, like I said, he has autism, so he has very high needs and he needs to be constantly engaged and constantly doing something or he acts out and starts getting into trouble and things like that. So we're trying our best to do what we can to keep him busy. And me and my husband, we kind of came up with this crazy idea to take shifts. So every second day I get 4 hours to myself. And on the days I don't, he does. So because we're trapped in the house, right? So our basement's kind of like the adult zone. That's where my office and our bedroom is. So he'll come down, watch TV, do whatever he wants for 4 hours. And then on my day, I'm going to start recording more videos. That's my break today. So here I am with you guys. So yeah, we've been trying to like alternate like that. And it's been really, really helpful on our mental health because we were like bickering a lot and just kind of, button heads a little bit. So I'm like, you know what, we should, give each other breaks. So it's been working out good.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's so healthy to do it that way. Like that's such a great idea. More people should do that because the divorce rate's going to go through the roof.
That's why I bring it up. I'm like, yeah, do it if you have the opportunity to and you can. I think it's a great thing to do. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that like I don't know. I feel for all parents stuck in this situation right now. But honestly, like I'm glad that I don't have a significant other because
Yeah.
I would be a lot less calm and a lot more grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better off dealing with the kids by myself, being on our own. Because props to you guys for dealing.
4 hours, let me do my thing. Let me play with them. Yeah.
His break is just as helpful as yours.
Too, like if he's cranky, it kind of like wears on me and it makes me cranky and like vice versa. So, yeah. Little space is good.
That being said, I wish I had 4 hours every second day. I'm not,
I wish I could give that to you because it's been amazing for my mental health. Like, yeah, that's a good thing.
Hopefully this will open people's minds up more through the quarantine to their self-care and, how they function as human beings and, how they're doing. Because I think a lot of people are recognizing that, hey, mental health issues are actually a thing. We haven't just been talking about this for a decade for no reason.
just cheer up. You know, when people say that, like when you're, you know, you're going through like a hard time, they're like, cheer up, fuck up. And it's like,
It's mind over matter. It's my mom's gonna
Yeah.
listen to this and be like, "Fuck Paige," but that's all the time. She's like, "It's mind over matter. It's mind over matter."
which I mean,
understand.
that is a part of it, but at the same
Yes,
time,
I agree to your point.
yeah, it's
I think that sometimes when your mental health is really bad, you can't even like see it that way. You can't even like start to take care of yourself because you're so low and kind of stuck that it's hard to pick yourself up.
struggle.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
we had to extend the Zoom, so like we did really good today.
good, lady. It was fun.
Awesome.
Thanks
All
for
right.
I really
glad that
this is awesome.
we were able to all get together and chat. I'm glad we.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, we'll do it again. I'll have you guys on my channel and we'll
Absolutely.
as much
We can do another thing like this or like whatever you feel like doing.
Yeah, probably a Zoom chat kind of thing like this. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Well, thanks for being on our podcast today.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Your stuff down below. I guess we'll link all your.
Do you want to shout out your social medias?
Yeah, what's your social?
Okay, you can find me. I'm most active on YouTube and Instagram right now as I'm kind of weaning back into working. So you can find me Cannabis Infused Motherhood at both Instagram and YouTube. So yeah, check it out.
Cool.
If you like it, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff.
And don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you can, go to Apple Music and leave a review because supposedly if people leave 5-star reviews, we will get more listeners.
Yeah.
So if you want to go leave a 5-star review and a nice little comment, like you can just tell us we're stoners. I don't care. But just put a comment. It can be an emoji. Put your favorite emoji.
Ask
a question. Ask a question. Get us up there in the charts, Yeah. And we shouted out all our we shouted out all our social medias at the beginning. Yeah. I don't know what else. This has been our dumpster fire.
Thanks for watching and listening.
And we will see you in our next episode. Okay. Bye.